Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion on the fallout from the first chapter of Boruto Part 2, better known as the Boruto time skip. And in today's video, I want to turn your attention to one of the more interesting things that we got in the chapter, which is Himawari and the major reveal that we got with her character. Himawari is clearly being set up for a long-term payoff in the manga, similar to Sarada and her issues with Shikamaru being a Chekhov's gun, waiting to fire off at a later date. In the manga chapter, everyone rightfully was focused on Himawari and the major progress that she made as a shinobi, with it being pretty clear that she's gotten considerably more powerful during the time skip itself. However, what went a little under the radar was a very small line in passing that Himawari wasn't sure why, but she could sense the presence of Naruto's location. In fact, she said it with an absolute certainty that she could sense Naruto, and I don't believe this was by mistake. It's easy to just write this off as Himawari just had a blind faith moment that her father was still alive because, you know, she's a daddy's girl, despite all the evidence telling her and others that he was dead, killed by Boruto. And it's easy to just boil it down to what we have a expression for, saying that it's a gut feeling or it's a woman's intuition. But with a battle shonen, things mentioned like that oftentimes are much deeper than that, especially someone like Himawari. Damon said in the manga that she had a hidden power, a monstrous one at that, and like Himawari with her statement about Naruto, Damon was very certain about this. Enough so to the point that Damon was willing to throw a punch at Himawari that he was certain that she could dodge, going so far as to say it should be easy for someone like her. And coming from someone as strong as Damon, whose power level goes beyond that of Jigen's, that is a major sign that there's something special about her, especially when we consider the fact that Damon revealed to us that he's never once used his full power in battle, and it's something that we know he's itching to do because he tells Boruto, hey, when you come back, you better be strong enough to fight me in full power. The fact that he's identified Himawari as someone worthy of a challenge means that the hidden power inside of her must be absolutely monstrous. In a way, it makes sense that she has a hidden power inside of her, which narratively gives her what we like to call a tabula rasa in terms of development for whatever power she has, which for those of you guys who don't know what a tabula rasa is and you're new here to the channel, that basically means a blank slate, because there are an infinite number of ways that you can take this, including how she's able to use that power subconsciously to sense Naruto. We clearly see in the chapter that there's something being cooked up here with Himawari, because when she's fighting against Chocho, we get the line from Chocho that the attack Himawari landed on her was, quote, heavy, and it's important to take note that this is a sign of Himawari beginning to harness that power inside of her. Just because she's learned to fight doesn't mean that she's learned to draw out the full amount of chakra as she fights and begins to use that chakra to dump into her physical attack. But the word heavy is worth breaking down a little bit for the reason we're about to go over. That phrase in the Naruto world has been used more than once in this franchise when someone's fighting against a stronger opponent than them, and said stronger opponent is going to be revealed to be in possession of more power than we're used to seeing at the time. This wasn't the first time we've seen this in Boruto in particular. For instance, when you go back to the battle with Jigen, the moment Naruto took a full hit from Jigen, his reaction was okay, oh my god, this is so heavy, and said attack from Jigen caused him visible discomfort, but nothing he couldn't handle at the time. This is before Jigen used full power, and it sent Naruto backwards. And as we all know, Jigen had another gear inside of him, and in the manga he proceeds to leave Naruto near death with only 4 hits directly. This is just one of the few times when you go back over the Naruto franchise, you run into a situation like this where the word heavy is used or a similar expression is used. In the past, we've compared Himawari to Son Gohan from Dragon Ball over here on the channel because their characters, to a degree, they're quite similar in a few ways. Himawari one-shot Naruto with one attack, and she severed all the chakra points inside his body and caused Kurama damage in what we initially believed was a gag moment. After all, who would think a little small pint-sized toddler like this would be this powerful? However, Gohan in Dragon Ball damaged Raditz in what at first looked like it was a gag moment like Himawari, which it hits a lot harder when you don't start the story of Dragon Ball with Z and you begin with the whole Dragon Ball story where Goku's 12 years old and grows up, because the significance of Goku and Piccolo being bodied so easily hits much harder and why a 4-year-old powering up to this level is so stunning. Very similar to, you don't start the Naruto franchise with Boruto, because the significance of Naruto getting all his chakra points shut down hits you harder when you realize what it takes to actually do that. And for Himawari to do it in one hit opposed to multiple hits, that is absolutely huge. So just as Gohan would continue to show flashes of his power when his emotions would take over, we've seen the same with Himawari, where the One-Tails Beast showed terror at the sight of her the same way that Kurama did. Think about this for a second. Those tailed beasts have seen people like Madara and Obito, yet they showed true fear at the sight of Himawari, which lines up with Damon's line about her having a monster power inside of her. The statement by Damon, it isn't a one-time thing either. It was the first of a few indications that this girl was indeed special. When we couple that with her Uzumaki clan genetics, we know that there are those inside the Uzumaki clan, in particular those from Kushina's bloodline, who have a rare chakra that is rare even amongst the Uzumaki clan themselves. They stand out even amongst all the other Uzumaki. That's the whole reason why Kushina was chosen specifically out of all the available Uzumaki survivors from the Uzumaki village and the Whirlpool village to replace Mito as the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, because as Kushina said, her chakra was special amongst the clan itself. In particular, it was rare. The Uzumaki clan, they're a blank slate. We don't know a lot about them when compared to the Uchiha clan, who basically had a massive chunk of the lore in Naruto's manga, to the point where you could argue Naruto's manga, the entire subplot of it was focused majority on the Uchiha, and it was Uchiha who pushed the story forward in a lot of major ways. And even with the Hyuga clan, they got more lore dumped into them in just part 1 Naruto than the Uzumaki clan ever got, despite them being the clan of the series protagonist itself. It's not crazy to think that due to their busted connection to chakra, that Himawari's hidden power might have some connection to a heightened sensory ability. In fact, it actually makes sense, just given that more than once it's implied that Himawari's grandfather Minato also had sensory abilities as well. So the idea that she inherited that aptitude for sensory power, that's not too far-fetched. However, to be able to sense Naruto's location is a really big deal. When we sit down and think about it, it's actually something pretty damn busted, because Naruto's currently in another dimension. There's no way that Shikamaru wouldn't have had the sensory team, which used ninja tech to augment their sensory jutsu, wouldn't have tried to at least track Naruto's chakra to locate it. Shikamaru and the others know about time space, and that speaks volumes that despite all the technology advancements we have made in the Boruto era, that science cannot track chakra in another dimension. Yet Himawari is able to sense her father, which this isn't impossible. Sasuke, if you'll recall, was able to sense Naruto's chakra despite Naruto being in Momoshiki's dimension, which means at the bare minimum, Himawari has matched Sasuke in this area, and that's a scary thing if she's doing it naturally. She hasn't been made aware of what it is that she's doing, or even begun to train to increase that power, which that in itself is really scary to think about her potential, which again makes sense given how excited Damon was about the prospect of fighting her. Damon might have a very punchable face, but Damon might have been onto something. Now, when we take it a step further, it is worth noting that Masashi Kishimoto, the Naruto series creator and the current writer of Boruto, directly stepped in to rewrite and restructure Boruto episodes 8 and 9, if I recall the episode numbers correctly. Those are the episodes that dealt specifically with Boruto seeing the Jogan for the first time and sparring with his Aunt Hanabi because he thought he awakened the Byakugan. We know as much because Kodachi, the former lead writer for the Boruto anime and the first writer for Boruto's manga up until Baryon mode, he literally told us as much. Boruto and Himawari, it's not crazy to think that due to both of them having had parents who once possessed the chakra Hagoromo and Hamura, Hagoromo in the form of Naruto and Hamura in the form of Hinata, might have had something happen to their genetics, especially if there's remnants of that chakra inside of her parents. Basically, a mutation. Think about it for a second. Momoshiki said that Boruto strongly inherited the genetics of the Otsutsuki clan in the past. Boruto is only 2 years older than Himawari. If Boruto strongly inherited the Otsutsuki genetics, smart money is that Himawari's done so as well, which is important to think about because it gives more merit to Damon's claim that Himawari is a very special girl, and not because she draws that crappy artwork you saw in the anime. Now, I know that there are still people out there who believe that Himawari will awaken the Tenseigan, enough so I'm actually getting audio done to send to one of the editors that helps me on the channel to explain the issue with that whole line of thinking, but there are those who think that she's in the process of awakening a Tenseigan and that this is the reason she can sense Naruto. But I went back and I rechecked Naruto the last official movie novel because I refused to watch the movie because because I fall asleep every time I watch the movie, but ironically I can read the novel, and there is nothing in there that even remotely hints at the Tenseigan having sensory abilities. Now, I know many people jumped to a conclusion because the Tenseigan has a chakra mode, so the assumption is that it'd be just like the QB chakra mode, but based off the information we have, we can't say that's the case definitively. However, that's irrelevant because again, I don't think she's awakening the Tenseigan. That will require a retcon if that happens. Himawari in the manga is continuing to get stronger, and there's a strong desire to see this current situation to a point of resolution. She wants to help Boruto. I do believe Himawari's ability to sense Naruto's location is going to be something that pays itself off when we get further down the line, but for now, the narrative is set to focus on the encounters of Boruto returning to Konoha and the battles that will proceed as a direct result of it, which I think is the right move. One of the biggest complaints a lot of people had, for better or for worse, was that Boruto was too much of a genius, basically learning everything super fast. Something that we learned in the Minato one-shot he shares with his grandfather, because Minato learned jutsu extremely fast as well. And from the looks of it, in that one-shot developed the Rasengan pretty quickly too. Boruto is very similar to Sasuke, who picked up fire release so fast Fugaku's like, hold on, what the hell's going on here? And then when Naruto was struggling to use the shadow clones to do several years worth of chakra nature drill training, Kakashi just very casually tells us like, yeah, you're having a hard time with this dude, but you know, that Sasuke, that guy, he had a hard time mastering lightning release too, but here's the thing, he learned it in 3 days. A lot of people wanted Boruto to train harder for his power like his father, which ironically, if that would have been the case, people would have said he's a bootleg copy of Naruto, but because he's the opposite, people are mad, can't please people, that's why you don't try to please people. Anyway, we're seeing that Himawari, while she is powerful, she's clearly learning and stumbling her way around, something that people that wanted that with Boruto, they're probably happy right now. I don't think it's too crazy to say that she might pull a Sakura on us, and I want to say this right now, Sakura's progression, when you read the manga very closely, is actually quite alarming when you look at it. So she pulls a Sakura, that basically means that Sakura continuously kept jumping several tiers of power after starting out at barely a gaining level in part 1 of Naruto, with her only redeeming attributes being that she was above average in chakra control and above average in genjutsu proficiency, to the point that that was her specialty. However, I think Himawari is going to start at a similar pacing, where just as Sakura quietly powered up while all the focus is on Naruto and Sasuke, and she kept jumping up several tiers as the series progressed, I think we're going to have the same thing here at Himawari, where we're going to be focused on Boruto and Kawaki and Team 7, etc., and Himawari very quietly in the background is going to be powering up. I am curious to know how you guys feel. While you think that over, click here to watch the Boruto chapter review re-upload so we can get that video back in the algorithm, since that first video got taken down with copyright. Much appreciated to those of you guys who watch it all the way into the end, and much appreciated to those of you guys who watch this video to the end as well.